Hello, welcome to the Snap UK. It's most of the teams on IR this week.
We had them all last week.
Which of course means we can't have them all this week.
No.
So Paul is not well. He's sat at home masturbating. Griff is
Medical condition, is it?
Griff is he's away for a conference, so he's currently in a hotel room in Sheffield masturbating.
Yeah. Masturbation.
Yeah, and Gary is working away tonight, so he's, I think, in a hotel, probably in Bolton, masturbating. So
Probably needs to, because he's not going to get to sleep on a hotel bed.
No, exactly.
He's used to 15-grand mattress.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't put those in Premier Inn.
No, God, no. So, yeah. Have a good one, Gary. So it's just me and Jim tonight, which is a shame because actually this might have been one of my favourite weekends of the season.
It was a great weekend.
Really good weekend. And compared to other weekends, through circumstance, I watched a whole game. Like, instead of Red Zone, I watched the whole of Ravens Steelers.
Nice.
Which admittedly was the worst game of the weekend in terms of
It was a
excitement.
purist game.
It was brilliant if you love football between 60 yards.
Should we start there?
Well, should we start? Yeah. So it was, the battle of the two powerhouses of the North, and the Packers.
Wasn't the Packers.
No.
They are in the NFC North.
Yeah, sorry.
AFC North.
The Steelers come out on top with basically the boot of Boswell, who it's a tale of two kickers as well, this game, isn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to apologise again. I am sorry, Justin Tucker. I will never, ever, ever pick you again for a fantasy football team.
I've never had Justin Tucker.
Neither have I until this year.
Until this year,
Oh.
I've got him in 2 leagues.
Oh, so it might be you. It might not be me.
In the regular league, I have Justin Tucker. Or is it Justin? I think in my work league, I definitely have Justin Tucker. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if I went in the regular league because to go with my Nico Collins and CMC curse.
Maybe it is you. Maybe
it is, yes. Yeah.
Maybe the Alvin Kamara curse is just a one-off.
Exactly. I think it might be me.
Might be you.
So apologies. I've never had Justin Tucker until this year. I was so excited. Literally, I think I took him the third kicker because I was like, well, of course you take Tucker.
Yeah.
I've now got Boswell. But yeah, it's just not regular because I've got Boswell. I had Koo. I think it might be definitely my work league. I've got Tucker, and the sad thing is I can't get rid of him because I'm still thinking, well, he's going to come good. He's going to come good, and I sort of doubt that more each and every week.
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt it as well. I think it might be a one season off.
I hope so because
he's legendary.
Yeah,
he's now been overtaken by Eddie Pinheiro as the most accurate kicker in the NFL, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kicked a lot more.
So how I sat there driving down, listening, putting the thoughts of what we're going to discuss today into my own head, and I was like, we've been doing this 8 years, I think, maybe 9 years, and in that time, all but this year, he's just been the best kicker in the league.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt about
I
it,
never
yeah.
watch a Justin Tucker kick because there's no point.
It's money.
It's absolutely automatic. Until, there was a great stat that up until this weekend, Justin Tucker had missed 2 kicks against the Steelers.
Wow.
He's now missed 4.
That's nuts. I saw a great stat. Mike Tomlin has a 0.33% winning record when his team doesn't score a touchdown. Every other coach ever, 0.1%.
There you go. It doesn't surprise me because this team is an absolute...
I'm really enjoying this team at the moment.
They're really good.
Yeah. They're not amazing.
They didn't click on offense this week. It just didn't happen. It was 2 really good defenses.
But they did something that no one else has, I think, managed to do in 600 attempts. They managed to get Derrick Henry to fumble the ball.
Yes. Yep. They got the Derrick Henry fumble early. I can't remember the net guy's name. Is it Nazi or something? I can't remember his surname. The pick he gets is absolutely insane. If it wasn't for some other plays, it could have been my sweetest play of the week. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, just, rips the ball in the air off the player.
It's Peyton Wilson.
There you go, Peyton Wilson.
Yeah.
Don't know who I got that. Got that from. They just, not only that, I think they confused Lamar.
Yeah.
They didn't let him.
It's been his worst game this season. But I think that, for me, that speaks more of the Steelers' defense than anything else, because they've always been an elite unit. I think they've got better. I think taking Patrick Queen from the Ravens,
it's a proper revenge game for him, wasn't
proper
it?
revenge game for him. But he was a good middle linebacker. Okay, maybe not as good as Roquan Smith, so I get the workings there in terms of keeping Smith and letting Queen go. But he's a definite upgrade over the middle linebackers that the Steelers did have since Shazier retired, basically. I think they've not really had one. Now they have. They're well coached, incredibly well coached. I think genuinely Tomlin has a chance for Coach of the Year. It's unbelievable that he hasn't won it before. But they started the season with Fields, and I thought Fields was fine, better than what we've ever seen with Fields did in Chicago. We all lamented a little bit the decision to go to Russell Wilson because Fields was fine, and we only knew the Russell Wilson of the Broncos. Russell Wilson's just been playing brilliantly.
He was absolutely. It's just nice to get occasionally the hints of the Russell Wilson of the Steelers.
Yeah,
not Steelers, the Seahawks.
The Seahawks, yeah.
That comes out every so often, and you're like, oh yeah, no, he was good, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And okay, like they didn't really have to do it that often, but right at the end of the game, there was the Russell Wilson play action moon ball, it's so Steelersy as well, just to have such a tight game, and come out on the side of they're the better defense and the better special teams.
And it does worry me when it comes to the Ravens, in that I've been singing their praises the whole season. I've been saying, all right, this season feels different. They're not going to have the same playoff woes, but in essence, this was like a playoff game for them. It's their in-division game against the leaders of that division. It's a huge game for them.
Yeah, massive.
And they haven't stepped up to the mark, which does leave a concern for me as and when they do go into the playoffs. You think about their two biggest games this year, away to Chiefs and away to the Steelers, they've just fallen short on both. On the flip side, okay, I know they've lost this week. The Chiefs, through most of the season, just managed to figure out how to get that win. That's the
thing. As we were watching it, I did say to Gary, I was like, I know he's been big on the Ravens as well, but it's the same old Ravens.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to be better in the regular season. When it gets to the off season, I have the same fears about them. They're going to play someone good, and actually, you look at the standings. The AFC's good.
Yeah, they're 2 games back now in the AFC North.
Yeah, and
so they're going away.
Yeah, and it would have to get a win today would have been so helpful, and they could come up short. That is what the Ravens do, and it's a shame. I think they are the best Ravens we've seen since the Super Bowl winning.
Yeah,
and I'm still thinking it might not be enough, but I like to be surprised. It would be great to see them. But yeah, anyway.
Moving on.
Shall I choose the next game?
Go on then.
Should I take the Bills Chiefs?
Seems only right that we should probably move to that one next.
So the Chiefs are no longer undefeated.
I'm fine with.
Yay! They lost against the Bills. I put it here. Are the Bills now the Super Bowl favourites?
Well, no, they're not because the Detroit Lions are.
Yeah.
But I'd say they might be the AFC favourites.
I think they're definitely the favourites in the AFC now. And I have this funny feeling. I know that Lions are favourites. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, I'm an absolute pussy. I'll bet £5 with my brother once a year on a podcast.
On a bet that he's made, which is absolutely ridiculous, and they're almost guaranteed.
Exactly.
Yeah. No offense, Paul.
And of course, I think this is the most sensible one he's made because I think it's basically. I think the Chargers have to win 3 of the next 4 games, or 2 of the next 3 games. I would put more. I'd be more happy to put money on the Bills being in the Super Bowl than the Lions, and I can't tell you why that is.
I'm not sure why that is either. I mean,
I think the Lions. We'll get onto the Lions. I think the Lions at the moment are absolute. I don't want them to be flat track bullies, but they are a little bit at the moment coming across as flat track bullies. Yeah. Their schedule is very, very easy in the nicest possible way. The Bills suddenly a couple of weeks. It wasn't even a couple of weeks ago. About 4 weeks ago, we were on it. I think we were like, "Oh, they're winning," but they aren't looking very impressive.
Much like the Chiefs the last few weeks.
Yeah, and what we have here is a game between 2 of the absolute elite quarterbacks in this league, and Josh Allen's in the better form right now. He's absolutely like. I mean, if you want someone to make a 4th down play to get you the game, is there anyone you choose other than Josh Allen?
I'm undecided, and I know we might have cancelled biggest balls of the week, but I'm undecided as to whether his touchdown run is the sweetest player of the week or the biggest balls of the week.
Is it both?
I think it could be both.
I think it's both.
He just puts that back on his team and then just steamrolls through the whole Chiefs defense, more or less. That's what it felt like anyway. Yeah. And, that's not the first time he's done that. He's well capable of being that type of player. But it was just so impressive to see at that point in the game as well. You'd love to see it. Exactly,
yeah. And the Bills' defense looks good.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it hasn't got the stars of previous seasons, but it's a bit better than the sum of its parts. I guess you could maybe say it's just well coached.
Yeah, but this is the Chiefs. They've been leaning on their defense for pretty much the whole season to get them through games. They didn't get a single sack against Josh Allen.
Yeah,
and they struggled to get pressure on him as well for the first time ever. I feel like this was a real classic kind of coach v coach kind of game.
Yes. But I think the Bills definitely had noticed. It's not, but there was. Here you go. Najee Johnson was obviously in my head. The Chiefs quarterback is not L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
And they picked on him.
Yeah.
And the annoying thing for the Chiefs is this is a copycat league. If other teams can do it with better wide receivers than what the Bills have, because the Bills, they are better with Shakir in the team. Mm-hmm. He makes them absolutely tick. I
think we're seeing more from Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
starting to get rips for the team. He had an amazing catch. One of his 2 catches was absolutely amazing. I agree with you though. It's if you're getting pressure on the quarterback, your cornerbacks aren't as exposed because they don't have to cover for so long. Because they weren't, it just meant that Josh Allen was able to pick him apart the whole game. And to your point, they made easy yards.
Yeah. yeah, it's good. You know, I think of the people here on our podcast, I think we are probably the two people who are going to be the less triumphant about the Chiefs losing.
Yeah.
But it's still fucking great.
It is, yeah.
I don't want undefeated teams.
No,
it doesn't.
It shouldn't be.
It's, it cheapens the league in the nicest possible way.
I saw a nice cartoon of it was Mahomes and Travis Kelce. It was like, how do we get back to winning ways? And the next frame was them wheelbarrowing a whole load of wheelbarrow of cash to the official.
Of course, yeah.
Fair enough. They do, but this is what happens with good teams.
Yeah.
They get the rub of the green when it comes to officiating. Like it's happened with the Patriots. It happened with Aaron Rodgers at the Packers.
Exactly that.
And now it's happening with Mahomes.
It's not even just every sport.
Yeah.
Man United always used to get the rub of the green. Like, I think they went 4 years without conceding a penalty at the Stretford end.
Absolutely.
Because of the aura they have. And that, which is probably saying... But yeah, like, you make your own luck in this league.
Absolutely.
Get better refs.
Absolutely. Or at least have, like, the eye in the sky can officiate everything. There was a couple of calls throughout the weekend, especially when it comes to face masking.
Yeah.
Where there's one in Miami where they flagged very late for it. It's like, all right, someone had a word there. Now, the league have said, no, they haven't, but it was like, well.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. That's fine.
Yeah.
The right call was made.
The right call is made and it's consistent.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point is I think we make too much of referees in this because it's. I think let's not kid. We're not media, but people have to have something to talk about on the Sunday.
No, of course, yeah.
And it's easier to write about how crap the referee was than a analysis into the X's and O's.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
It is, and. All the referees, all the umpires, referees of sports they should be an impartial voice to allow the game to happen. Then what happens is the leagues or whatever it is create the rules and basically do a bad job of it, which makes the life of the referee much harder. Yeah. But so I'm, if you're butthurt about it,
deal with it.
Go fuck yourselves.
Right. I'm going to pick a game.
Go on.
Denver 38, Falcons 6.
I was hoping you'd bring this one up because...
It's just fun.
It is.
I'm enjoying Denver being good again. I don't know why.
I was, once again, literally driving over here. So I was like, I hope we can bring up the Denver game early because it's the sort of thing I think Jim loves. The fact that they have the best O-line in football right now.
It's amazing.
I saw a stat line for... I know the Falcons' defense is shit, or the pass rush is shit.
Yeah, it's not great.
Behind that, it's pretty...
Yeah, it's good.
The defense is good. Yeah. Bo Nix, I think, was basically pressured 4 times. And on the throws he wasn't pressured, he was, I think it was 24 of 26. The guy's good.
Well,
he's not Mahomes, he's not thing, but he's absolutely carrying out the game plan that Peyton needs him to do. Compare this to Magic where they were last year. And Woody Johnson, are you listening? It shows the power of having a good coach.
Yeah.
Above everything else, they have a smart guy in the room.
Guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And knows how to work with a quarterback, coach a quarterback, build a game plan around a quarterback's certain skills. Now, granted, we said this last week, Sean Payton's got his playbook and he went out and got the quarterback that would work within that playbook.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I think that's probably where a GM needs to go, right, if I'm going to hire a coach, he's got to have a massive say in the quarterback that comes into it. which is probably where the Jets have gone massively wrong because
they've hired the biggest name.
They hired the biggest name, and then just before that, they went out and got Nathaniel Hackett. But realistically, they got Hackett because they knew Rodgers was coming.
Exactly. But yeah, they've just bent over the wrong way. But rather than bending over backwards, they've just bent over
forwards,
bent over and exposed themselves over to their ego. Whereas, Bo Nix, he's not doing anything that's flashy. Like he's not doing,
He's just accurate.
Really
reading
accurate.
the game well, accurate. He's getting finally Courtland Sutton, I feel, is suddenly a really good player. I've always felt he's a really good player, but he's putting the stats up now to believe that. And even getting, to be fair, again, Payton's brought certain players from the Saints. Little Jordan Humphrey.
I'm about to say,
suddenly looks like a great, he's massive. He's not nothing little about him at all.
I
thought he was a tight end when he was on his touchdown run. It's like, Jesus, that guy's huge.
Is he? Well, I'm just looking up. He's like 6'3", isn't he? He's massive. Like,
he looks bigger than 6'3". He looks like a tight end.
Yeah.
Because I know he lined up in the slot, and I was like, is that a tight end lining up in the slot? And it's like, no, that's a wide receiver. Now, whether, let's face it, Payton's got a history of making tight ends work very well, Jimmy Graham, that's the type of role he's going to play. Then he could be a really great pickup for them. But yeah, Payton is just, I think this combination of Payton and Bo Nix bodes very well for the Broncos.
Yeah. And as well, they've given Payton, they spent a lot of money last year on the O-line, which took time to develop because that's what that's what happens.
Yeah.
They have this year and next year with the Wilson cap hit, but they're showing that they can build a team. For the first time in years, Denver aren't an absolute basket case.
I could see it next season. They in the offseason, probably one of the areas they do need to invest in is probably the defensive line.
Yeah,
because you mentioned good teams invest in the trenches.
Yeah,
they've got a good O line. They've got the quarterback. They've got wide receivers. They've still they've who's the cornerback? They've got
Stain.
Thank you, Jesus. They've tied him up to a new contract. Go out and get a couple of really good pass rushers, maybe one in the draft and one on free agency, and suddenly this team looks really fucking good.
Yeah, it does.
And suddenly the AFC West looks really difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry, Raiders, you're going to get fucked next year.
It's all right. Apparently they're tanking this year.
Tanking for Daniel Jones.
Tanking, fucking hell. I mean, listen, our friend come out and said, the Raiders are tanking this year. And I was like, I don't think you are. I think you're just shit. There's a difference.
That was after there was an Instagram post saying the Raiders would be interested in Daniel Jones. And he said, I can't believe we're tanked for Daniel Jones. You don't have to.
No, he's going to be available, guys. You don't have to tank for him. Yeah. But no, you are not tanking. You're just rubbish. Because Antonio Pierce doesn't have the luxury to tank. No. Anyway.
Speaking of slightly rubbish, though, Falcons. They're not rubbish, obviously.
They're still in
still 6-5.
Way ahead in, I think they're 2 games ahead.
2 games ahead of the Bucks. They just seem to be losing a few games, which I don't like. Not that I don't think they should have lost. They absolutely should have lost on Sunday against the Broncos. They were terrible. But losing to the Saints 2017, losing to the Seahawks at home earlier in the season, it feels like they're likely to lose games, which I don't think they should. They got the Chargers next up.
I think that's a loss.
And then they got the Vikings.
It's probably a good time to play the Vikings.
Probably is. And then they got a little bit of a run where they got the Raiders and the Giants, then the Commanders, then the Panthers. So, 3 out of the last 4, definitely. I think that'll be a 4. And then let's say 1 from Chargers, Vikings. Probably just about be enough to see them through into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
not confidently.
It's it's the standard NFC South thing, isn't it? They're gonna get into the playoffs, and you're gonna spend the whole time. Why are they here? Because they're shit. Yeah. And basically they're here because the Bucs are injured. That is the Bucs injury crisis.
Yeah.
Is why they're there. Because if they can take a lead, I think they're all right. They can just sort of like if it gets into sort of a not a blowout, but like sort of
they need to have the lead.
Yeah,
they can't come from behind.
They can't, and that's this game. They'd lost it by for basically first quarter. It was awful, but I do think that the Falcons are better than they were last year. There's still a lot of work they need to do, and one of the things they need to do is pass rush because they can't pass rush anybody. So yeah, welcome to your loss in the first week of the playoffs, guys. Anyway, I'm going to mention now. I think we're going to open the pedophiles.
Ooh, that's early. I didn't even think we'd talk about that. I thought we'd skip over it, but go on.
Well, just while we're talking
shit teams.
Well, great teams. Even,
great teams, yeah.
Because the Lions just continue to
be terrible.
Yeah. No, the Lions.
The Lions.
Lions are brilliant.
The Lions are brilliant. The Jaguars. So I was looking at the Jaguars game.
Yeah, the Jaguars are bad. And I mean, I feel for Pedersen because right now he's using Mac Jones, who isn't doing much to save his career.
I mean, what an opportunity for him.
Yeah.
And you just feel, okay, he left New England with, a bit of a tainted reputation. We all thought it might have been the coaching rather than him. And it still might be. That still might be the case.
It might be, but
it doesn't help him.
It still might be him.
Yeah,
because it doesn't look very good.
No, but then you are playing the Lions in Detroit, and to your point, they're just running hot at the moment.
Yeah, they like last week they got lucky, I think, with the five interceptions, and they still won that game. This week.
Absolutely destroyed.
Is there a quicker team in the NFL than them right now? Like they have so much explosiveness.
Yeah, Gibbs
looks like a threat anytime the ball's in his hand.
Montgomery looks like a threat anytime the ball's in his hand.
They got Jameson Williams moving this week, who's back from his
indiscretion.
I feel bad because I kept reading things that. Well, they might get rid of him. And you're like,
why?
He's accidentally taken some Viagra. Like Rashee Rice has tried to kill a guy. And we're like, oh, well, he's got to face the thing. It's in drugs terms, it's not something I'm particularly worried about. And as soon as the ball gets in, particularly those two guys, it is just like, you can see the fear in defenders' eyes as they start running, and they aren't catching them.
Either the wide receivers, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, James. As soon as the ball's in their hands, and it's like Jefferson in Minnesota. It's like fuck. They're quick, they're nimble. I mean, Amon-Ra, St. Brown at the weekend, 11 targets, 11 catches, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Fucking great.
And what's he? I think he's now 2 above Calvin Johnson in terms of consecutive weeks scoring a touchdown. I think it's either 7 or 8. It's ridiculous. This Lions team is genuinely going to set franchise records because the Lions of the last 50 years
have been appalling.
Apart from Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, have been appalling.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford as well.
But
suddenly everything is clicking. Okay. Yeah, they've had some big wins. This one, they absolutely smashed the Titans. They scored 40 against the Seahawks, but they've also managed to They've also kind of had some close wins as well. Packers the other week, 24-14, probably does them a little bit of the scoreline does them a bit of favours there, but 31-29 against the Vikings. Yeah, their only loss of the season was 2016 versus the Bucks, which just seemed incredible. Because I think if the Bucks played them now, it wouldn't even be a contest.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's not forget the 47-9 victory over the Cowboys, which is just great. But I think that they seem like they all enjoy playing for that coach.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is like very much unlike most teams in the NFL. You feel like in there especially, but like a little bit how I think Tomlin makes the players feel.
Yeah,
like when you compare that to what you see on the other side, where Pedersen looks like he just wants to let the world open up and swallow him into the abyss.
He's, he knows he's done.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's probably a couple of coaches that are going to feel the same at the moment. He knows he's done. Hey, what I never realised, Alan Robinson's on this team. On the Lions
he
thing.
had a catch the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he's not the. I'm still not living down my Adam Robinson at the Rams sort of support. I was like, yeah, he's gonna be fucking great, and he wasn't. But like I think they could just pick a guy out of the crowd and make them half decent. To be fair,
I think you're right.
It's just what they're doing. Like, and I think that's what they didn't have Laporta this week. Like, they're not having the injuries that other teams will get into are having. But when their star goes like, well, they lost Aiden Hutchinson. Well, actually, they were smart enough to just go and we'll get to Darius Smith from
the Browns.
From the Browns, yeah. It seems weird that one of the most best run franchises right now is the Lions.
Not said that for a long time.
No.
And the Jaguars go on to be the worst run, one of the worst run franchises.
Careful if you say that, because Paul will
you'll jump on that.
Definitely
not the worst.
No,
one of the worst.
One of the worst.
Their average yards per rush on Sunday was 2.4. Which is just, Travis Etienne had 12 carries for 27 yards.
I think I could do that.
It's just, I feel sorry for Brian Thomas Jr.
So, yeah, he's...
Because I think he started the year where it's like, oh, he could be a contender for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And it's not happening, and that's not on him.
No, I've picked him in every one of my fantasy leagues, which in week 5, I was like, I'm fucking great at this game. And then right now, he's just on my bench because you can't have him with Mac Jones. Like, what is the fucking point? So, yeah, I don't think... it's a shame because actually, he is a good player. That there are good players there. I don't think that Travis Etienne has become a bad running back.
No.
But there's just the situation there sucks.
I saw a thing pop up on my phone earlier today. It's connected to what we were chatting about in our WhatsApp group earlier. And the likelihood of Belichick going to the Jags depends on his outlook at the quarterback position. Now, I could see him, because when we were chatting about where's he going to go, we were Giants and Cowboys. I would favour the Cowboys because they've got an established quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Belichick's age,
you can't rebuild.
You can't rebuild. You don't want to be going somewhere where
he's got the relationship with the Giants.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the time to rebuild a team,
exactly,
which the Giants need. But the Jags,
if they're going to sack Trent Baalke as well, and suddenly you haven't got a GM and he can go in there and do
the Belichick thing,
where he's got an established quarterback, and you go, all right, he's got talent. He might not have shown that talent, but hang on, if I just put a really good offensive line in front of him.
Yeah,
there's wide receivers there. I can work on the defense. For me, that actually looks really sensible.
It looks,
which is exactly why the Jags won't
do it. Yeah. Imagine Nate Hackett will be out of a job in the summer. So maybe he might hear. it will be the least obvious answer.
Yeah.
Actually, like when they signed Pedersen, I thought actually that was pretty smart.
I liked it as well.
And for the first year and a half,
They were okay.
they were fine. It just seems to like week 8 last year, it all went to tits, and I can't understand it because. Anyway,
other teams I can't understand at the moment.
Go on.
Bengals 27, Chargers 34. I don't understand the Bengals because they have got probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league over the last 5 years. Injury aside, I'd argue, performance-wise, this might be Joe Burrow's best year. Yeah.
On an individual thing, you watch him, he is absolutely balling out.
100%. Yeah.
But he needs to, because he needs to score at least 30 points a game to stand a chance. Because, like, the first half, admittedly, like, for, this is a game that I'm glad that Paul and Gary aren't here, because Herbert was absolutely brilliant in the first half. In the second half, Burrow was like absolutely magnetic. Just to watch, he was great. He got them back in the game. And what happens? The defense lets them down, and the Chargers run, I think it was 11 plays in the last 2 minutes, and
proper Harbaugh ball.
Oh yeah, but actually, like, what won them the game was sort of Herbert taking the game by the balls and finding like McConkey for 2 big plays. Yeah. And because that's what you can do with fucking Justin Herbert, because he's brilliant.
I feel like he's starting to settle into how Jim Harbaugh wants this game plan to work.
As well, like, you hear Harbaugh talking about Justin Herbert, and if my boss talked to me like that, I would run through walls for them.
We mentioned it earlier, didn't we, with Dan Campbell and the Lions. Jim Harbaugh's always had teams where players want to play for him, and they look like they're having fun. And I think back to the 49ers team. Yeah, some of in the locker room afterwards, everyone looked like they were having fun.
Yeah.
And even on the sideline, it looked like they were enjoying the game.
Yeah, it's it's absolutely smart play to he's not blowing smoke up their asses. He is just making his guys feel like they can do anything. It's like when Mourinho was good.
Yeah.
When Mourinho was good, he would, if he favoured you like Terry, Lampard, etc., he'd make you feel $1 million.
Yeah. I think they make good players better.
Yeah. And that's it.
You look at Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. Like, Jared Goff, everyone had written him off. Alex Smith and Jim Harbaugh, everyone had written him off. Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin now. Yeah. Everyone had written him off. Gary written him off years ago.
Exactly.
You get a good coach, and if the player believes it, and not just quarterbacks, you look at what Quinton Johnson's doing now as well. Just give them the belief that they can play.
Yeah.
And I think you just see them go up a step or two.
And as well, he believes that the players he's got can win the game.
Yeah.
Because Brandon Staley, at that point, would have gone, let's take the draw, guys. Let's take this overtime. Because that's what the analytics say, that, we do something, there's a chance that we get picked off and we lose. Whereas Harbaugh is playing Harbaugh ball, and he is going for it. And it's so refreshing, for fuck's sake. How did this guy not have a job in the league for
Well,
I know, yeah.
I think he wanted to win in Michigan. But then he had the chance to go to the Bears a couple of years back before they hired Eberflus. If you're sitting there a Bears fan right now, you're like,
we fucked that up. It's refreshing. But
since they're 4-7, I think so. 4 and 7. 4 and 7. But their 4 wins: Panthers, Giants, Browns, Raiders.
Yeah,
doesn't make for good reading.
No.
Every time their losses: Patriots, Chiefs, Commanders, Ravens, Eagles, Ravens again, and Chargers. Granted that there are some good teams in there, but this season's done for them. They're out.
They are done.
If we were forking teams, which we're probably due to do some.
Well, they've got to play the Steelers twice.
Yeah, and I can't see them. Got an easy game against the Cowboys.
Yeah, but Steelers twice. They play the Broncos. They've probably got 3 wins. Cowboys,
Titans,
Broncos. Yeah, it's not great. I think the annoying thing as well, they next year they're probably going to lose T. Higgins because they've got to pay Jamar Chase.
Yep.
And they have so many gaps. The defensive coordinator, it looks like occasionally he can do something. Like he can draw up some schemes that frustrate really, really good players, but they lack the players to. There's no playmakers.
Yeah,
there's no
on defense. Yeah,
definitely.
And I'm okay with them. They're going to have to let T. Higgins go. I'm okay with them paying Jamar Chase, but then investing heavily in the defense because you can go and get a wide receiver in the draft. Yeah. And to be fair, they do draft. They've been drafting well of late.
Yeah.
On the offensive side of the ball, go in
and a running back as well.
Yeah,
some variety.
Absolutely. You look at what Joe Mixon's doing in Houston now, and it's like, why did you let him walk out the door?
Part of me is like, well, the smart thing is to let him possibly go a year early rather than a year late. But
replace him with something.
But yeah, they've been trying to get rid of Mixon for 2 years now. Yeah. They have replaced him they've replaced it with nothing, and in that time,
could have gone out and got Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I mean, he was there. He was available, guys. It wasn't even that much.
No.
Saquon, fucking
not that much more.
Some absolute difference makers, and they were available for beans, effectively.
Yeah. Go on, you pick one.
Let's talk about a guy who's come back after a couple of weeks off. It's Anthony Richardson.
All right.
Because the factor here is possibly it's the Jets, and since they fired Salah, they are possibly the worst defense in the league right now.
Yep.
But Richardson looked good.
This is his best game of his career, I would say.
Yeah, he was making plays that the week he, had to have a break and got dropped. He wasn't making, and suddenly looked really good. There was one play. It doesn't count because he threw the ball away. But you remember a couple of weeks ago, Bosa had Baker
last week. Yeah.
Richardson basically had a pushed guy off, in the face for 10 yards, literally just because he's a
unit,
proper unit, proper running, and then nothing emerges. He threw it out, which is good.
Yeah,
you don't fine. Take the loss.
I like that. I'm fine with that.
Physical skills and some smarts.
Yeah.
If Steichen can get some poise in him, and I think drop it. You had to drop him after that week because he was appalling, and it looked like
you can't come off for a rest.
You can't come off for a rest.
You just can't.
But I don't think they win this game with Joe Flacco.
Probably not.
And it doesn't. doesn't really matter. But I think for a player in his position, you don't get better at playing football by not playing football, and he needs to be playing games. He hasn't played enough in his career, in his junior career, to have the sort of football idea of a Burrow or whatever.
Absolutely,
it's
all right. It was his best game. 20 completions from 30 attempts, 272 yards, touchdown, interception. Now the big caveat is it is the Jets. And they are terrible. Like Sauce Gardner is not the same player that he was in previous years. He's nowhere near the same player.
I don't think he's had an interception in well over a year and a bit, has he?
Can't tackle to save his life at the moment. Still don't rate Richardson. We're going to talk about the Saints game in a bit because it was fun.
Yeah.
When I see Taysom Hill, I just think Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
you could be Taysom Hill.
Could be that. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be funny if the Colts actually went out and got a proper quarterback, but then played them both?
Yeah.
If Anthony Richardson can catch, we've not seen it. Imagine how good he could be as this ultimate gadget player.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, we will get into the Saints game because it was absolutely insane. I think the line isn't good enough.
Nope.
And he's not good enough to be a pocket passer.
Nope.
He's got to be sort of a little bit Cam-esque. He's got to be improvising.
Definitely Cam-esque. Cam could throw the ball, though.
Yeah.
I think he's closer to what we saw from...
Is it early Lamar?
Yeah, early Lamar. But with Cam's stature.
Yeah. And, the physicality stuff is stuff that can't be taught, at least. Yep. That is the good thing. He's got that. And Lamar, what was he, 6 years into his career now? He's become a better player. And,
he absolutely has.
He's only, Richardson, what is he, like 16 games into a career?
If that, yeah.
It's not a lot. He needs the game time. I got why you drop him, but you don't. For a player like him, you don't become better by not playing. He needs to be in game situations.
Yep. Jets are bad, aren't they?
The Jets are appalling.
Let's not talk about them anymore.
No, I So, should we talk about them off the field?
Yeah,
because the news is basically Joe Douglas has gone. So, I think they've got rid of in the last year. They've got rid of the head of player personnel things. They've got rid of Joe Douglas. They've obviously got rid of Salah. And I don't have any confidence that they're going to find the right answer in this offseason because I don't see Rodgers staying.
No, I think it's almost been ruled out.
Yeah,
by everyone that he's good.
Well, apparently I read today that Wally Johnson wanted to drop him, Rodgers, a couple of weeks ago.
Bloody hell.
Which is, when you fired the head coach on his say-so, it seems a dumb decision. I can't even think who the backup is. It's not Tim Boyd.
It's Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor's not bad. He's probably going to make more plays than Rodgers, man.
Well, at the moment, I mean, in terms of Jets career-wise, he's below Darnold and Zach Wilson in terms of games won. Anyway, I don't understand the timing of the Joe Douglas firing.
No.
Because you're not going to be bringing anyone in right now anyway. It's going to wait until the end of the season because you've got to go one way or the other, hire a GM, then hire the head coach, or hire the head coach and then the GM. The GMs aren't going to be... The people who are ready to take that role aren't going to be available for you to be speaking to now. They're going to be in organisations that are winning and they're going to want to keep them there. If you do bring someone in, the key role of the GM is, one of the key roles is setting up the scouting organisation.
Yeah.
Joe Douglas would have had that running already. Bear in mind, we're coming now to the end of the college year. It leaves no time for a new GM to come in, reset the scouting operation and reset, the types of players they want to look at. Okay, we don't want to look at that quarterback. We want to look at this type of quarterback. Hang on, we don't need running backs because we've got this guy. I rate him, whereas Joe Douglas didn't maybe. So that's all a waste of time. At least if you do it at the end of the season, you're bringing in someone new to go, right, okay, I'll work with what I've got.
Yeah.
But this is the direction we're going. So just what are they doing?
Yeah.
I genuinely feel sorry for Jets fans. I know they're not the most likeable of the bunch.
I don't.
I always feel sorry for sports franchises.
I do.
Where it's just failure after failure. And it's like
I feel sorry for them long term. I don't feel sorry for them because any sensible sports fan saw this coming.
I don't know. Okay, ignoring the injury, last year in the build-up to Aaron Rodgers making his debut, I could see why they got so excited. And all the players they brought in, some of them were good, some of them weren't so good. Even bringing in Dalvin Cook. Right.
They've spent an awful lot of money on some absolute dross, but
I don't think anyone saw the drop-off.
If I was GM, someone went to me, by the way, Dalvin Cook's available, and you'd be like, well, yeah, I'll have him. Because he was fucking great the year before.
Minimum, fine, I'll take him.
Exactly, yeah. I've got some young guys, but being able to have Breece Hall with Dalvin Cook, what a 1-2 punch that's going to be.
Think about everything that's happened now. But they still made a Devontae Adams trade previously.
Yeah. I
don't understand.
I don't understand. I feel more sorry at the moment for Joe Douglas.
Yeah.
Because that must be an absolutely impossible job he's had. Because I don't know who is making the calls. Because if it is him, then why are you letting him get Devontae Adams? And little warning for you guys, you're paying him a fuck ton next year as a 33-year-old wide receiver.
Yeah.
Who probably won't have his best, his quarterback as his mate there anyway, because he'll be part of the Trump administration by then as Secretary of Culture or whatever it'll be. After the loss against the Broncos, they lost 10-9 at home. They had a meeting, and Johnson suggested to Salah, Hackett, and Ulbrich that they bench Aaron Rodgers in favour of Tyrod Taylor because he felt they were holding them back. And then Woody Johnson fired Salah, promoted Ulbrich.
And it's gone to shit.
And it's gone to absolute shit since then.
I don't think it could get worse, but it's got worse.
And Joe Douglas wasn't involved in the firing of Robert Saleh.
Yep.
Which meant he probably wasn't in. He's not his guy. He's not in charge right now.
No one's going to want to take that job. Well,
yeah.
I mean, someone will because it's one of 32 jobs.
Yeah.
So someone will take it.
Someone will take it, but it will be the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because they won't be able. No sensible person's taking it.
It's one of those things. I remember when Belichick's assistants were leaving. There were some teams. He was like, almost wouldn't let them leave to go to.
Yeah.
I feel like any assistant GM or head of player personnel or something in whatever team is going to be looking at that job, and their GM is going to go, "You really don't want to take that job. Like that is a poison chalice."
Yeah.
Now there will be someone that will take it because that's what happens, but I don't even know where you start because you just. I mean, you've actually got some some young players in there have proven to be good players, but you're going to have to pay a whole load of them as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. So basically, the next GM is just going to be a Woody Johnson yes man.
Yeah,
because so one of the embarrassments of this year they've had is Hassan Reddick. They've signed him to replace Bryce Huff, because Joe Douglas had agreed a contract with Bryce Huff, but Woody Johnson vetoed that, so he had to get rid of him and basically swapped him for Hassan Reddick, who I think is with them now, but for the first 8 weeks of the season wasn't turning up to the facility because he wasn't getting the contract he felt he deserved. He's vetoed signings that Joe Douglas has tried to bring in at important positions, including the assistant GM. So, because they wanted to bring their assistant GM left to join the Chargers, and he vetoed the replacement. It's absolutely insane. Unfortunately, it's going to, as the season goes on, Woody Johnson's going to become more Tepper-esque, I think.
Yeah.
And as Tepper has got quieter and quieter, Johnson suddenly emerging into the media as I am mad owner of this season,
and it will cost them that type of 6-year long-term contract, which there'll be no get out, because I'm looking for a list of potential top candidates, and they're all from the teams you'd expect them from. Mike Bogonzi, the assistant GM at Kansas. Why would you leave there? Brandon Brown, assistant GM of the Giants, all right, already in the building. I get that. But again, the Giants is, bar everything that's going on at the moment, relatively well-run organisation. Trent Kirchner is VP of Player Personnel at Seattle. Again, Seattle, incredibly well-run organisation, probably building something there at the moment. It's going to take someone like Will McClay, VP of Player Personnel at Dallas Cowboys, because they're about to go into complete rebuild, and you're never getting a GM job there. So maybe something like that.
Yeah.
There's even Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, on this list, and he's never going to leave a cozy job to go and be a GM of the Jets.
Yeah. Oh God.
Maybe it might take something like that, but I see that type of hire, and I think the guy that went to the Raiders.
Yeah. Malarkey.
Yeah. No, the Mike Mayock.
Mike Mayock, even. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
This is going to end in disaster as well.
Very much so. But apparently, I was reading, Johnson is very concerned about appeasing social media fans. So that's why they signed Tyron Smith, because he'd seen it on social media that the fans wanted Tyron Smith. So,
oh God, they're just going to put it out. There's going to be an Instagram poll or something.
Oh yeah. So I think we should create a load of sock puppet accounts and get them to sign absolute drop. Oh, go on. Now go on. We really need to sign fucking John Ross.
Right.
They were like, he read that. The fans want Tyron Smith so they offered him like a $20 million deal, and then no one else offered him anything. He could have got away with nothing. Even the Cowboys, who had him for so many years, didn't offer him a deal. So he ended up with this massive deal from the Jets because. Why else? But just appalling organisation. So we'll try and mention them less as we go along because they are appalling. But let's move on to onto another game.
Go on, Packers 20, Bears 19.
Oh. If any team could lose this way, it's the Bears, isn't it?
They look so. Bear in mind they obviously fired their offensive coordinator last week. Elevated someone from within. And Caleb Williams looked good again.
He looked better. He did look better. The
running game was better. The passing game was better. The offensive line seemed to, Caleb Williams only got sacked 3 times. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
And then they just...
So...
What was it, a blocked field goal?
It was a blocked field goal.
Yeah.
And it was a blocked field goal where they had the time to move forward. What they did, they let the clock go, called a timeout, and they left their kicker with a 46-yard field goal, which is not a gimme, but
in this day and age, I think you expect anything under 50.
But what it does, and the Packers defenders have come out and talked about this, they said as soon as we saw it was 46 yards, we knew he had to hit it flat. Because
you have to hit a certain trajectory.
You have to hit a certain trajectory, which meant if we could power the line, and that's what they did, admittedly, you see people talking about afterwards, it feels a little illegal what they did, but it wasn't called, so it was legal. And they absolutely bull rushed the guard, and they got a big hand to it. It deflected, and it was just the most Bears loss possible. And admittedly, their season's over anyway. It's, I don't know I can't remember what their record is, but
they're 4-6 now.
It's too far. Like
in that division, it's too far.
It's too far
because they've got the Lions are 9-1. The Vikings are they're scraping wins, but they're still getting wins, and then you've also got the Packers above them on 7-3.
Yeah.
So you're well behind.
What they need is to finish the season showing.
Yeah.
What they need to do is find the nice medium between showing progress that Williams actually can be the guy and isn't basically I'm going to ruin him. Because I think we all know there's a player there.
Yeah. I think so.
But what they also don't want to do is end the season so well that they think, well, we'll do this for another year then.
Yeah.
Because you end up like the Raiders, who keep.
I end up like Cowboys.
Yeah, they need an absolute refresh.
Yeah,
in the coaching,
on the coaching side of it.
Player wise, I think what they need to go to the draft. They're going to get a nice early draft pick again. Get the best O lineman they can find.
Yeah,
and build that line because it's a sieve.
Absolutely. I think the Bears GM Ryan Poles, he's done a good job putting together, I think, a team with a lot of talent on it. Yeah, there are a couple of holes, and unfortunately they're in very key places on that offensive line, but it's just not coached well.
Yeah.
And I think you go in there and you put in a coach like Jim Harbaugh, for instance, like we mentioned earlier, and I think he instantly elevates every player by 10%. Now, whether you can find that guy, I'm not sure he's going to be available, because the only one I can think of that probably could do that would be Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. Well, and he'd be great.
Yeah.
He would be great.
That's a bad shout.
It is a really good shout.
But the Bears don't hire big names at head coach.
No.
They just don't.
You get the feeling it's going to be a sort of a fancied offensive coordinator, because it'll be an about flip from what they've done.
Yeah.
So there'll be an offensive coordinator. So whoever is
the Lions guy.
Maybe no, because I think
Ben Johnson.
I think he'll have his pick of the jobs, and one of the jobs, like a smart team, would pick Ben Johnson. So, but like for instance, if you had the Bears or the Cowboys, I'd probably go the Cowboys.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd go the Bears right now. You've got Caleb Williams on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
You've got a lot more pieces there to work with in terms of running game, passing game, and the defense is good as well.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
I think you're right. If you fix the offensive line,
there's a
potentially great team there.
Yeah. And it would be great to see someone like Ben Johnson with Williams.
Yeah, you think about what Ben Johnson's got out of Jared Goff. Yeah. I think Caleb Williams is more talented than Jared Goff is.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he'll get even more out of him.
Yeah. What they need to... They just need to stop Williams taking massive losses, because that's what is the issue. And I think that's why they didn't try and extend the
final
drive
play,
because
they still could have done that with a running game.
Yeah, I know.
They were getting decent yards in a running game, 5.3 yards per carry.
It's
DeAndre Swift had 5.1 yards per carry. So.
He looked really like I know but he had that great touchdown, but DeAndre Swift looks. You remember that there was a player there. I still can't. Just how bad the Eagles were last year that DeAndre Swift didn't work. It's mad. Anyway,
Packers were
poor.
Got away with this one.
Yeah, they really are. And
a couple of weeks now.
Yeah. Jair Alexander's injured, but everyone has injuries.
Yeah.
I had the Packers down as a my Super Bowl pick, and I think next week I will be asking people to have make their changes to see if they want to change their Super Bowl picks from the start of the season.
Lions, Ravens.
You have Lions, Ravens, which is everyone else has Lions, Ravens.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I imagine the changes will come from me, who had Packers, Bengals.
Some people might move off the Ravens.
Yeah, but the Packers, I think, are nearly there, but I think they just need. They this year they've had injuries at the worst possible position. Love was looks a bit after the bye week.
Still doesn't look fit.
Doesn't look fit, but look, at least was better than he was the weeks before. And Christian Watson turned up. Actually, that's a massive game, massive plays.
Yeah, but I've said this for a few. They've got a whole load of worry. They're terrible for fantasy players.
Yeah,
you don't know who's going to get the ball in each week. The receivers don't worry me at all. I think if one or two of them gets injured, I think another one or two steps up. I don't think Jordan Love's playing very well at the moment, and I think part of that's injury, and part of it might be that I think people are figuring him out.
Yeah.
Kind of got that second year slump. I know he's not in his second year, but his second year starting.
Yeah.
I think that's what CJ Stroud's going for as well.
Definitely.
Maybe just get through this year.
Yeah. There's a good player there. We just need to get through this downside. But yeah, not a particularly great thing to watch. Should we go to the Saints?
Oh, yeah.
So, Taysom Hill, 35. The Browns, 14.
Yeah.
For someone who's... I've got Alvin Kamara in one of my leagues. And...
That must be annoying.
It was look...
Unless you had Taysom Hill as well.
I had Taysom... in regular league, I had Taysom Hill at tight end because Laporta got injured. So, Taysom Hill was available. So, why not? He has two massive games a year. You never know if you're just going to get lucky. And I got lucky. I also had Christian Watson, who scored a thing. I think my one downside was I forgot to take Christian Tillman out my wide receiver thing and put in Jameson Williams. If that, I would have won. I still got 140 points and lost.
That was harsh. that's quite
really harsh. Yeah, because Griff had Mixon on Monday night who took it away from me. But Taysom Hill.
Let's go through his stats.
And it wasn't... Yeah, go for the stats. Are incredible.
One completion of 2 yards and an interception. All right, so not so good in the passing game. 7 carries for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And then he caught 8 receptions, 50 yards.
Yeah.
Didn't he have a run back as well?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. The guy's...
Yeah. He had a kick return for 2 yards as well.
I mean, so what's that? That's 200 and something all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah,
I love the guy.
Just about that, yeah.
I mean, I admire his agent for getting him like 20 million a year
for those 2 games.
I
can't remember if I sent this to you or the group. There's a fantasy league that has a Taysom Hill lottery.
Oh yeah, you have to play him.
Everyone has to play him 1 week, and it's like no matter if you get picked in week 10, you've got to play Taysom Hill in week 10, and he could score no points or he could score 35 points.
Well, that's it.
I like that.
I love it. It's what makes the game fun. Quite frankly, it's big. There is no fun in just drafting 11 great players on draft day, and then you got to mix and match as you go through. But anyway, and as well, so me and Gary were out on Sunday on a date, mandate, went for Tex-Mex, watching. They didn't put Red Zone on the TV for us. They put on Steelers Ravens, and it comes up because all you get was the bar at the bottom, the bar at the bottom, and then at halftime you get the highlights. Well, the bar at the bottom, and it comes up. Taysom Hill, 2 touchdowns. I was like, a bit annoying because I've got Alvin Kamara in one of my leagues, but that's fine because you imagine. I just imagine they were like 1 or 2 yard punching in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you'd think.
And 130 something yards from Russia. Wildcat just this is a half decent Bears defensive line. He torched them.
Browns.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Browns only got 1 sack, and that was on Derek Carr.
Of course it was.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good defense. Well, it should be a good defensive line. It should be a good defense. It should be a good team.
It's just not. No.
I think we've not mentioned Stefanski that much during the year. I think maybe because we probably as a group don't blame him for what's happening.
I do think he doesn't get mentioned because he doesn't want Watson. I think the pressure is on him to play him. But
now he's 2-8.
Yeah.
And it's going into a season where they finally have their draft picks back. I think he's gone.
I do. I think.
I don't think it's fair, but I think that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think if you get to pay off, go somewhere else and rebuild yourself because he was doing something good at the Browns. Before this whole debacle was basically forced upon him. He doesn't want. Watson is not his type of quarterback. Go somewhere where you can build something that you know.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's a shame, but they're just a waste at the moment.
Yeah, from one waste to another. Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys, where literally their ground is falling apart.
Yeah. So if you weren't blinded, you might have had your head knocked off by a bit of the roof that fell off. It feels very Commanders-y almost, doesn't it? It's like but with a much newer stadium.
Yeah, there's no reason why that should happen.
Like this is state of the art stuff, and it's falling apart. It's great, isn't it?
Just for the metaphor alone.
I mean, obviously, McCarthy's gone at the end of the year. Cooper Rush is
Cooper Rush.
It's Cooper Rush, yeah.
Even if you're playing your first string quarterback, this is high. But if you're playing your second string quarterback, why are you 55 pass attempts?
It's because the rushing.
Yeah, I mean,
offense is appalling.
The rushing offense is terrible. Rico Dowdle had 10 carries for 28 yards. Zeke Elliott had 1 for 8 yards. Not much else to say.
No, the line's bad. Everything's just appalling. CeeDee Lamb's a good player, but there's no point if he's.
The defense is bad. And you mentioned Joe Mixon's performance earlier. 20 carries, 109 yards, and 3 touchdowns. At one point in the first half, he was on par for 72 fantasy points.
Thank fucking.
I feel like they should just. If that was Detroit, they would have just carried on running.
Oh, Detroit would have just, yeah.
But
well, admittedly, they'd have got to a certain point and then just tried to have an O-lineman try and get...
Yeah, absolutely.
But
it's Texans. I don't think the Texans are the same as they were last year. I think they came up against a crap team and they won. Fine.
Yeah, it's fun. Have the Cowboys won at home this year?
No. They're the only American franchise to not win at home in 2024.
Fucking hell.
Even, what's your man's name? The Jake... Who fought Tyson?
Oh, Jake Paul?
Yeah, he's had a win in
Of
Cowboy
course he has.
Stadium.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're doing badly.
Should we go on to the NFC West and talk about you guys against the Seahawks?
I was avoiding that.
Doesn't have to be quick, this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be long even. We can make it very quick because Seahawks, actually, I thought the Seahawks defense was very good this week.
It was very good.
First time they've really shown up this year.
I've got... It's horrible to say. I haven't got any confidence that we score enough touchdowns. And you know when you're sat there watching your team and you're like, right, here we go, another drive, get some points on the board. I don't have that level of confidence. Like, we're gonna have a first. We're creeping. We're getting closer. It feels like Brock Purdy has to literally strain every sinew in his body to make a play happen. Now, Juwan Jennings is played an absolute blinder, but you know we're not getting that much from Deebo Samuel at the moment at all.
I do think Deebo. If you watch you guys after you've watched a team like the Lions, you realise how pedestrian you are as an offense.
Yeah,
and
compared to the last couple of years.
Like your most explosive player is Kittle, who wasn't there this week.
Yeah,
and he's your tight end, who great player, but Ayuk always seemed distracted. Obviously from the start this year, and then got injured. McCaffrey's back, but McCaffrey isn't as explosive as he was last year. He looks, admittedly, three-quarters of McCaffrey's still a brilliant player, but he's still three-quarters of McCaffrey because he's coming back from a big injury. I like Jennings, but Jennings is a solid player rather than a...
It's not your number one receiver, is he?
You do need... When you look... we shouldn't be comparing teams to the Lions because they've got Brown and Jameson Williams is a first-round pick and Gibbs is a first-round pick. But they have so much explosiveness everywhere.
Not seeing that from the 49ers.
And you're not seeing that from that. And that's weird because it's...
Yeah. I think Deebo will be gone at the end of the season.
I do think... I think the same.
And I think they'll focus the receiving game on Brandon Ayuk and hopefully Ricky Pearsall will step up. I mean,
it feels a lost year, but...
Yeah.
I know, I've said it earlier, that every team has injuries. You seem to have more injuries than most teams. Constantly.
Yeah. Like
Ayuk was in and out. Deebo, I think because of the position he plays, he's that sort of gadget wide receiver. He does take more hits than other wide receivers. Wide back.
Yeah.
Which means you get both the usage of someone who's doing both positions, but also he gets the hits of someone who's playing both positions. And I do think his body is showing the toll.
Which is why I think, gone.
I think he might be gone.
Nick Bosa went off halfway through the game, injured as well. That didn't help because as soon as that happened, suddenly the Seahawks were able to walk up and down the field. Jackson Smith-Njigga had a great game.
Did really have a great game.
10 receptions, 110 yards. And, it's a big rivalry. And you step up your game.
Tight
for those
games.
Yeah.
Bears Packers as well.
Absolutely.
It's a there aren't extra things because of the rivalry. Yeah. It was won right at the end with a Geno Smith run. Without that, we're going, the Niners got away with one here. But it turns out that's how it goes. I think I do think you might miss the playoffs though.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think me and Gary have said it. We're happy to have a year off.
Yeah.
We're going to watch the playoffs in a bit of comfort this year.
Well, yeah. Oh, it's a shame.
You just like watching us suffer.
I do like watching other people suffer. Because you get to watch me suffer for the whole regular season. It's nice to watch people suffer more concentrated ways. But hopefully, I think of our mates, Duncan might go the furthest. So let's hang on with Duncan.
We can watch him suffer then.
Exactly. Should we get onto the rest quite quickly because there's some dross here. But we'll go to Thursday night. Eagles 26, Commanders 18.
I think Eagles are just starting to...
They're ticking, aren't they?
Simmered quite nicely. And just controlling the game. I mean, they're 8-2. That's a great record. I didn't expect that because they haven't played well in the first half of the season. Now they're starting to play well. Like Saquon Barkley had another amazing game. 26 carries, 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a really good player.
Yeah. And I know I'm bringing it back to my team as I always do, but we're in a lose-lose situation with Saquon because we're not a good team, and Barkley enabled us to glitter that turd. I'm happy. I was happy for him to go off and find a championship-winning squad, as long as it wasn't Philadelphia.
Preferred it not to be the Eagles.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he looks great. The defense is bedded into the.
Yeah, it's starting to come together now.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to the Fangio scheme. It's getting there. They are in championship sort of form. Whether that's
it's going to start getting to the point where I start disliking them again.
Yeah.
But you're right; they're playing really well. Not a straightforward win, but a professional performance.
Professional performance against a team that can mix it up, and it wasn't the best Daniels game because that's what the Eagles can do to you.
That's what rookie quarterbacks do. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Elsewhere, Dolphins 34, Raiders 19. Dolphins 2 wins in a row for slowly getting back to a bit of form. I mean, it's a bit late, really, but
Rams and Raiders. Who was it? I got a bet with that the Dolphins aren't going to make the playoffs. I think it was Paul.
Might be Paul. Sounds like Paul.
They got the Patriots, and then they got the Packers, Jets, Texans, 49ers, Browns, Jets again.
So 2 wins.
I don't know. I don't think they're making the playoffs because I think Buffalo are too good, and Miami is only 4-6 in a good AFC.
As well, like the Broncos are 2 wins ahead, and they aren't going to lose enough games.
Chargers as well are beating them. So.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still comfortable with my bet.
You're fine
and the Raiders are still terrible.
Yeah. Bowers is good though.
Yes.
Titans 13, Vikings 23. Smith and Jigba's touchdown was brilliant. Not Smith and Westbrook Akine.
Yeah.
It's been a long week, guys. Apologies. Westbrook Akine's.
It's all those double barrel names.
Yeah. But
Vikings just had too much for them, and again, this wasn't a great performance in the Vikings. But they are 8-2, and you are what your record says.
Yep.
So fair play.
Yeah, it reminds me of that year that they were very similar, one of the Kirk years, and then lost in the playoffs to us.
I could see that,
and I can see they're not losing to us in the playoffs. But they'll lose to the first good team they play. And Patriots 22, Rams 28.
I thought the Patriots looked good.
Yeah.
And I think Griff summed it up actually when in the chat. So you can take that loss because you're seeing potential from Drake May, and I completely agree. You can see what's starting to come together, and I think on a slightly better team, we'd potentially be talking about Drake May in the same way that we talk about Bo Nix.
Yeah,
but he hasn't got all those pieces around him. I mean, he hasn't got a Super Bowl potential Hall of Fame winning coach.
No, that's it.
But he is developing well. And I think Stafford's having a quietly
good year.
He's thrown 4 touchdowns in this game, and it just makes things work.
It helps Nakua and Cup are both back.
Yeah, Nakua almost destroyed himself on his touchdown catch, but it was a good one.
Yep. But no, you know, it's just a mad NFC West, quite frankly.
The Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers are all on 5-5.
And the Cardinals are
6-4.
Yeah.
So when you say the 49ers won't make the playoffs, yes, you're probably right based on how they're playing.
But they still can. Like,
it's one game.
It's one game. I think you'll all play each other again.
Yeah.
But bizarrely, I think Murray is the most impressive quarterback of the lot. Quite frankly, I think you've got four very decent quarterbacks there, but yeah, Murray's the.
It's crazy as well. I'm just looking at points scored. 49ers are in that division. 49ers are highest on 250. Rams are lowest on 213. Not a massive difference.
No.
And points against, Rams are conceded the most, 239. And the Cardinals have conceded the least, 220.
Oh, wow. So it's pretty... it's so close. It's great.
Yeah.
It's, hopefully it comes down to the last
weekend. Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's all the games. We'll do some fluff around it because we're not going to do the Hall of Good this week because it's just us two.
I'm really gutted about that.
Yeah, because I've got. I don't think it'll get picked because it's Griff judging, but it's someone I've looked forward to putting in. Because when we did his position, I purposely didn't pick him because someone else had picked something I was convinced was going in.
That's fair. Mine is we've picked the position for, and you'd never pick him for his footballing play. Decent footballer.
Yeah.
But you'd pick him for what he's done off the field.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Little tease for you for next week.
So
after, whenever we're doing potluck.
Yeah. We're going to do coaches next week because because Gary's not around next week, so we're going to have us four nominate our coaches for Gary to judge when he's back, and then potluck the week after.
Right, fair enough.
Okay.
Back to work. Right.
Anyway, so quick question for you, Jim. Did you watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson?
I didn't.
I only mention it because it has implications. Because it was glitchy.
Yes. I mean, it was on Netflix, wasn't it?
It was on Netflix. And the Christmas Day games are on Netflix.
My thinking here, I know where you're going on this.
What I hope is that because it was, I think, their first live sports event. I think they've done a live comedy thing. Yeah. But
did they do the Tom Brady roast live?
Might be live.
Yeah.
I think, and they did a Chris Rock thing.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they've moved into sports. It was glitchy, which of course, but also this wasn't as well watched as the NFL's going to be.
Right. See, I thought it would be more well watched just because it's probably more of a global audience and just the hype around it.
The hype around it, I think, but what you have is of the top 100 TV shows last year for audience numbers, how many of them were NFL games?
In the US?
In the US.
Quite a high amount. Okay.
90.
Yeah, fucking hell.
90 of the top 100 audiences in last year in the US were NFL games. Yeah. It's a big thing. Of course, it's Christmas Day as well, where there's a thing. So it's...
I think Thanksgiving football was a big thing in the US. Yes. And I think they're trying to make Christmas football into a similar thing, aren't they?
Yeah, people are home with their families.
Yeah,
probably
sick of their families.
Whereas we, drink and avoid the Queen, avoid the Queen's speech.
Easier these days.
Yeah, but they're I think they want to turn that into the, and as well, it's a really important part of the season.
Yeah,
it's like really late.
Absolutely.
It's going to be hugely important. If it's as glitchy as the Tyson Paul thing, it does give me kittens because, watching some of the boxing thing was watching it filmed through a potato. Ooh. Because it the big blocks, it's horrible.
Did you get the buffering issue as well?
Buffering,
because that would piss me off.
Absolutely. And yeah, I there was buffering through admittedly the one good fight that there was that ring was Katie Taylor, because I'm not.
That worries me even more because you'd expect people, especially in this country, probably to only wake up for the Tyson
fight.
Yeah.
And so it's we'll have to. Okay, I'm sure, like the NFL, have that, are talking to them about how, But if it's the same people that provide Game Pass, that worries me because that can be very glitchy as shit.
Yeah, Amazon Prime they seem to do fine.
Amazon Prime do absolutely fine. So, it's a worry because it's a chance to spread the game out and Anyway,
right.
Before we go, I think we've got 6 weeks of the season left. Was it 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
That's that extra week, isn't it? It's confusing the shit.
We've lost the people who put their hands up to ask questions.
Yeah.
But now I've got John counting on his fingers.
I'm a systems guy. I don't use my mental arithmetic.
As far as you bring up an Excel spreadsheet.
I just want to bring up the MVP race because it's going to start gaining traction as we go along. Who do you think is leading the way? As well, I want to have some alternatives because are there any non-quarter? The MVP is going to be a quarterback.
It is.
Because it's always a fucking quarterback.
It is.
So let's go through some of the... we mentioned earlier Josh Allen.
Yep.
I think to me he might be in the lead right now.
Just because of...
A little bit of recency bias.
Recency bias, which, happens.
Yeah. Behind them, you've got...
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Jared Goff.
Yeah. I think Sam Darnold's fallen away.
Joe Burrow is playing brilliantly, but he's on a bad team, so he won't win.
But he is playing brilliantly.
If you're talking quarterbacks, the next sort of tier is Herbert.
Yeah. I don't think he will, though.
I don't think he will.
I think we've isolated, Jackson, Allen, Goff.
I think, to me, it's between Allen and Jackson. I love Goff, but I think there's too many games where Goff has 18 throws. They're all brilliant, but they do win by a lot of running. Which is not his fault. That's just the game plan that they're playing.
I know,
and
I probably do agree with you. I think it's popularity contest.
It's popularity.
And Allen and Jackson have better levels of popularity than Goff.
Yeah,
quite frankly, Goff. I think he's playing brilliantly. It's the best season he's ever had.
Yeah.
He's deserving to be in the conversation, but I think it comes down to Allen and Jackson. I think the next couple of weeks are probably really important for it.
Huge, I think there, but if it might come down to basically who's best in the last 3 weeks of the season when the voting takes place. But admittedly, I don't really care for the MVP. But
non-QBs though, because I like this question because I prefer it. I think you got to put Derrick Henry in there.
Derrick Henry is having an absolutely brilliant season.
Yeah, I think you've also got to put Saquon Barkley in there as well.
Yeah. Any wide receivers?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah. He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Can I mention very, very outside? Outside. Penei Sewell is possibly the most important member of the Lions right now. He is.
Yeah. I would
without
love
him,
an offensive lineman to win an award.
That's what I brought it up because it's the one show where we can have a bit of offensive lineman love. He is the most important member of the Lions team right now, who are the most exciting team in football, because he just is so important. Plus, he's taking part in trick plays, everything. The guy is as good an offensive lineman as we've got in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like, Williams is getting older. The fabled Cowboys O-line has gone.
I like it. I mean, you look... We talk a lot about how important it is to have a solid offensive line. We spoke about it earlier with the Bears.
Yeah. Well, compare Nicks to Williams.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is one bloke's protected and one guy
You can't do anything unless you're literally Patrick Mahomes. You can't do anything with an offensive line that is just going to...
Well, even he has limits. Remember that Super Bowl?
Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking of. Like, somehow he still got to the Super Bowl and still made some absolute incredible plays. But you're literally relying on someone to be superhuman to get away. Which, I mean, and properly superhuman, not just, an NFL player superhuman.
Yeah,
So I like it, and it would get my vote.
But yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
No. But I think he might get some love in our end of season awards because he is the most important player for them this year. And he's one of the reasons why Goff can have more touchdowns than incompletions, which was a stat, I believe, a couple of weeks ago.
It still is.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, not after that last week. Offensive rookies.
Yep, I put this one in.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's come down to two quarterbacks and a tight end. I noticed you've just added in.
I've just added him,
and I think it's a great shout. Daniels started the season really hot. He's sort of cooled down a bit. He's had injuries. He looks like a guy limited by the effects of what's been hit. He doesn't have the O-line of Bo Nix. Bo Nix does have a great O-line, but he's making plays.
Started off very average, if not bad.
I think
he's thrown more touchdowns now than Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not quite in the Jared Goff league of more TDs than incompletions, but I don't think he's that far off.
He's really it's as close as in the league as you've got to a Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Which.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he caught a touchdown pass as well.
Yeah, fucking great. No, I think once again this might come down to a bit of recency bias at the end of the season because if we can get Daniels back,
I think if Daniels comes back a little bit, it's not that he's been playing badly, but the first kind of 5 or 6 games he did set the league alight. Yeah, no doubt about that. Then he got that injury, and it's been good still for a rookie quarterback, but he's not been the same player as he was.
No.
I think it'll come down to Daniels being probably the more fashionable pick.
Yes.
But Brock Bowers is absolutely tearing the league
It's amazing. It's a shame he's on such a bad team. But he's tearing the league apart with Aidan O'Connell as his quarterback or Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that,
he's projected to have 1,200 yards receiving off 119 receptions. That's projected for the full season and 5 touchdowns. That touchdown number would be a lot higher on any other team. I can't remember what the receiving record is, but I'm going to say it's not far off that.
It's the Porter, isn't it? Last year. Tight end rookie record. Oh, do you know what? It's not. So, I don't know if this is recent because So the most yards by a rookie tight end, Mike Ditka.
Wow. So that's a record that's been around for quite a while.
1961.
Yep.
Behind him, number 2 is Carl Pitts. They're the only 2 rookies over 1,000 yards. Laporta is 4th behind Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah, That's fine.
So yeah, he got 894, 889 for Laporta. So admittedly, Dick got 12 touchdowns. Laporta got 10. Kyle Pitts got 1. So
famously,
yeah.
Oh, we were there for it.
Oh God, yeah, you were, weren't you? Yeah. So Brock Bowers, if he could, I mean,
he's not going to win it.
No,
because it's a quarterback award, but he absolutely deserves some attention.
Yeah, he really does, and I hope that
he gets traded to a good team.
Yeah, effectively,
it's not going to happen.
He's already at 700 yards. He's got 7 weeks to go. Yeah. What's that? If you get 50 yards a week, that's
we'd
be going over it. Yeah. So he can have that.
He'll easily go over 1,000 yards.
Oh, easy. But yeah, no. Let's see if he can sort of get to Mike Ditka, and because he's had the record for 60 years now. So it's about time someone had it.
I think that's fair.
Any of so comeback player of the year? Are there any?
I've got one.
Go on.
I don't think it'll be allowed because he's not technically coming back. J.K. Dobbins has been absolutely lights out for the Chargers. He has had a career blighted by injury. He had a great start at the Ravens, got injured, came back, had a great game, got injured. Literally, it's been like that up until, obviously, and I can't blame the Ravens for letting him go because that many injuries.
He played one game last year.
So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that J.K. Dobbins should be in with a shout for comeback player of the year.
I'm not going to argue that because, he's played 8 games in the last 3 years up until this year.
Yeah.
He didn't play the whole of 2021. He played 7 games in 2022 and 1 game in 2023. Yeah. The guy has had terrible luck with injury. ACL, another knee injury, Achilles. He's had 2 games recently over 130 yards. The guy's great.
I mean, he's on pace to have 1,200 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns.
Great.
And like you say, when you've played 8 games in your whole career, and if some of those games have been fine, that's a great return.
Well, he played 15 in his first season, but he didn't start.
Right.
So, but yeah. No, I'd love to see that. I can't. Cause I was like, is this, could we have it this year that Hamlin gets it? Because actually he's playing this year. And is he actually playing on a good defense? But I think it's rough because he should have won last year. I know Flacco got it, and it.
So I'm just looking at the odds on Odds Checker. Do you want to take a guess who's top?
Cousins?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins top, then Joe Burrow, then J.K. Dobbins, Kyler Murray, and DeMar Hamlin does wrap up the top 6.
If the Steelers make the playoff, does Russell Wilson stand a chance?
I don't think he does because he did play last year.
Yeah, but it was shit. But
fair.
I think they changed the rules.
Joe Flacco played the year before he won it, so maybe that's not.
I think they changed the rules last year that I think it's come back from injury rather than come back from lack of talent. Because I think they were a bit embarrassed that Flacco won over a guy who died.
In hindsight, this is going to seem even more relevant. Joe Flacco came back from playing for the Jets.
I know, that's it. That's how bad he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've always been for that.
No, I've got no arguments. Anyway, we're going a bit long, even though it's just us 2. But Sweetest player of the week.
Still saying Josh Allen.
It's Josh Allen, isn't it? Biggest balls of the week is Josh Allen.
Sourest player of the week, I've got one. Cowboys' second attempted fake punt. The guy threw it right to the defender.
Yeah, there's no argument. I was going to bring up the Bears not trying to thing, but
there's another one, the Cowboys one. We didn't mention it in the game where they had a chance to go for a field goal, Brandon Aubrey actually hit the field goal from, I think, 64 yards. Pretty amazing in itself. But then there was a penalty, so they chose to take the yards, and then they didn't convert on a 4th and 2.
Oh, fucking hell.
I mean, if
Yeah.
there is something that's going to go wrong in the game for the Cowboys at the moment, it will go wrong.
Yeah. Good.
I'm loving that.
That is the thing, but we'll give it to the first one of the Cowboys. But Josh Allen, our sweetest player of the week. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, a
few more of us.
Paul and Griff at least will emerge from their rooms.
Gary might have found a mattress that's better.
They're very strong wrists. We'll leave it there, and we're back as we talk over things week 12. See ya.
Right.